Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. This is episode number 354. The year is winding down.
This is the holiday season
right
now.
Right in the holiday season. And it also means that we're going to be doing, in just a week or two here, we're going to be doing our episode where we're going to recap 2020 and we're going to look forward to 2021 goals. We do the goals episode every year. Always enjoy that. And what a wild and weird year 2020 has been, but there's still been some really great and significant stuff that's come out of the year for us. So it's going to be fun to look back and recap all of that.
Had to make a lot of changes. Some goals weren't made, some goals were, but we'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, learned a lot. We learned one thing we learned is how to adapt this year.
That's it.
There's a lot of, as you said, a lot of things got canceled, a lot of big plans that we had. But again, we found ways to do it, and I think we're better for it, better content creators for it.
I think so. And speaking of adapting, we've adapted well, and now we are closing in on 40,000 YouTube subscribers. 40,000. So, guys, thank you so much, to all of you who are subscribed to us on YouTube. It means a lot. We've put a lot of work into our YouTube channel this year.
Yeah. And that was a personal goal of ours. 40,000 was kind of our number.
That was our number, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the goal to get up to 40,000, and here we are. So, hats off to us. We cranked it, and the podcast is on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, this is actually, I think it's the first full year that we started putting the podcast on the YouTube channel. We would do it here and there, and same thing with Facebook and Facebook Watch. But a big thing for us this year was opening up this new space.
Yes.
And part of why we wanted to do that was to have this legitimate podcasting booth, if you want to call it, that we can put the video component out there.
I think our first show of the year was in this booth. I don't even think the TV up here was.
It might not have been.
Yeah.
Because before that, we were doing them in your home office at your house
for about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a big change.
We went from Skype to my home office.
So 40,000, but I mean, the number that's been ringing in our head is we're really excited to eventually get to that 100,000.
Scaring me, man.
Number.
I'm telling you, I had a nightmare the other night.
Here we go. Here we go.
I woke up. It was like I remember the time. It was like 1:37 a.m. And it was like not a panic, but it was just like I couldn't go back to sleep because I was awakened by the idea of what are we going to do when we get to 100,000? Because we always like to
wake you up.
It's crazy. These are the things that wake me up. There are other things that keep me up too, but those are whatever. I was struggling with this, man, because it's funny. I went back and I was literally watching all of our old milestone videos on YouTube.
At 1:37 in the morning?
Yep. I watched the when we hit 5,000. I had a bow tie on. I don't know why. It was like 120 degrees heat, and we're standing on, West Hills Golf Course at a bow tie. And in that video, we talked about something epic was going to happen at 100,000.
Yeah.
And then in the next ones, we kept talking about 100. So I thought of a cool idea.
There we go. Okay.
This is my idea.
Hit me.
You guys let us know.
Hit me.
We partner up with all of our great sponsors, Titleist and FootJoy Shot Scope, and maybe reach out to some companies like Wheels Up or something like that, and just get them involved in this. And if it includes audition tapes, then maybe even great. But if you submit something like, why you think you are the Golficity YouTube channel's #1 fan.
Okay.
Then maybe we get flown out there to wherever you are in the country. I don't know the world. We'll see. We'll see where we are. And we come and not only take you to play golf, but we get all the partners involved and get you a full setup of new clubs and a nice new gear and apparel. The full-blown grand prize.
That's pretty sick.
I don't know if we'd be able to pull it off. This is just what I was talking about. These are just one of the ideas. And we're open to many ideas.
They're probably all that, except we'd be flying coach, not Wheels Up. But
hey, maybe.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Hey, I'm shooting for the stars here.
But I like the idea of like the kind of
because you and I love to give back. I mean, that's all we do. I mean, we love it, and I think it's.
Plus, we like to see. We like to connect with the people that are on the other side of the camera. So being able to like see you guys and see what you're doing, you're always watching us.
That's it. I want to make someone's world. Like, those HGTV commercials where like they move the bus and like we redid your whole house.
Right.
Like I want to redo somebody's whole golf world.
That's cool. Move the bus. We really did your whole golf game.
That's it, man. Yeah. New clubs, new apparel. Playing a bucket list course in your area that you've always wanted to play. Like, imagine you live just outside of Chicago and you've always wanted to play Medina. And we get Medina to get us to come out. And it's just one big, massive vlog.
Just sick.
Just the epic 100,000. And then maybe we'll bring out our really cool YouTube.
I think the hardest part of that whole thing.
If we get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
The hardest part would be actually judging it. Because there's just so many. We get them also in the DMs, too. There are so many cool stories from a lot of you guys out there. Some of them that just like
maybe put it to a vote.
They like
That's what I think.
define like why we do what we do. I mean, we've seen some stories of people
Oh my
who
God.
Are incredible, like recovery stories, and every time, I mean,
Some
talk
war
about
veterans
heartwarming.
and-
Like, geez, I think the hardest part would be just picking one. You know?
It would be very,
It'd have to
very
be, this will
difficult.
have to turn this into a tour.
Yeah.
The summer 2022 tour.
We would go bankrupt.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun.
Right. Oh, that's too funny. But
So
yeah,
that's what I had.
hey, otherwise, guys, if you got ideas for us, we love to hear them.
Open
them
to
in the
ideas.
comments.
Always.
What should we do when we hit 100,000? We still got a little bit of a ways to go, but it's been a very fun, steady climb on the way there. What did we start this year off with?
Just
on
under
YouTube's?
25,000. So we added about 15, a little more than 15. I think we had like 16 or 17,000.
16 or 17,000 subscribers. So
On a percentage basis,
you-
not too shabby.
no,
right?
it's not bad at all. And if you're one of those newer subscribers, thank you for signing on. If you're one of the OG guys, we
Yeah, we
appreciate you
appreciate
sticking it out for so long. And we are committed to continuing to bring the highest and best level of content that we can for you guys. We're not going to take our foot off the pedal. And hopefully, if we do get to that 100,000 subscriber point, it's because we've really earned it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
for
Like
sure.
we're going to work hard to constantly bring some fun stuff, and we're already lining up some great stuff for 2021. And man, as soon as this pandemic is over, we're going to really take our foot off the brakes and go.
That's it, man. Vaccine as we walk on the plane. That's it.
That's
That's what I told someone the other day. I'm going to live on an airplane.
There are so many great places that we're ready to do, and we've got the plans are in the works, you know, both domestically and abroad.
And that's just the other thing. Like we've honed in on these video skills so much in 2020, so much different than the Scotland trip. New tricks and techniques and editing equipment and software resources,
everything.
You know, so you know, I only feel the game is going to get stepped up even more. That's why I'm even more excited.
Super, super excited for it. That's for sure. All right. Let's do a quick word from our sponsor.
Yeah, let's do it.
Speaking of which, you know, the sponsors are the ones who are huge supporters, obviously, of what we do, and are a big reason why we get to continue to do this. So we appreciate and thank them each and every week. And of course, we want to thank Titleist, guys. It's the holidays. We talked about it before. There's probably only a couple days left as of when this comes out. You're one of those last minute gift giving guys. Well, we've got the idea for you. Give the gift of Titleist. Go out there, buy that golfer in your life, a brand new dozen Pro V1,
Easiest
Pro V1X,
gift to give. Come on.
AVX. And not only is it easy, it's also it's going to be a good one. Exactly.
And the fact that you could personalize it and all that good stuff.
Right. If you think of this far enough in advance, you can get the personalization and you really have fun with it. But if not, even if you're that Christmas Eve shopper and you just run out and grab a dozen, you're going to make them happy. I mean, what golfer isn't happy when you tear into that box and you see a fresh dozen Pro V1, Pro V1X, or AVX, and you're not going to go wrong with any one of them. They're all premium performance golf balls. And if you've seen some of the videos that we've done as far as the differences between the two. If you educate yourself and or maybe you can kind of slyly find out what your the person you're going to be, your gift target, what their preferred ball is. Maybe find out and then get it in advance. But no matter what, you're not going to have to worry about sizes, styles. You don't have to worry about them not liking it. Everybody loves it.
No one's going to return
Titleist.
it. No one's ever going to return it.
Give the Titleist Pro V1, Pro V1X, or AVX golf ball the number one gift in golf. And like I said, if you're thinking of this soon enough, advance, get creative. I've seen some great stamping.
Great stamps.
You can get
any numbers.
Favorite, whatever their favorite number is on there. So you're going to put a smile on that golfer's face. I know I would be happy if under the Christmas tree was just a bunch
straight
of
up
golf balls.
Provies. Yeah.
Right. I know I need them. We're going to be playing a lot of
great.
courses with water this year. So we can always use as many as you can get. But all right, let's dive into this week's Twitter tap. And if you're not already following us on Twitter, make sure you do so at Golficity so you can be part of the conversation each week. And we like to throw some hypotheticals out there. And we've talked about some of the favorite courses you might want to play. We've talked about some rule changes you'd like to see. But this week, we said if you could get one golf lesson from a premier top instructor, who would you choose and why? And of course, as we always do, we got a lot of great responses. And, it is kind of wild if you think about how bucket list and hard it can be for these top premier instructors. You and I were fortunate enough just back in January, we were there when they opened the Ledbetter Academy in Orlando. We got to see David Ledbetter there. We've had him here on the show before. but we did not get a chance to get a lesson with him.
No.
And we asked, and I think they said it was something like $1,000 an hour for a lesson with Hank Haney.
With Ledbetter.
Ledbetter,
Yes,
sorry.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure Haney's the same.
Haney's the same. But if you can even get to these guys,
Right.
I'm sure. Like, what are some of the top names like Foley?
Yeah.
There's just guys like who you
Remember
ran
I
into
asked
on the
him?
bus.
Remember
Yeah.
I asked him on the tour bus if he could fix my swing. I think he just laughed at
He
me.
just laughed, right?
But yeah, $1,000 an hour, and I'm sure there are people who pay it.
I am sure there are. So it is, it's wild that we even have the ability to access, ability, in quotes.
Yep.
I mean, because there's a huge financial burden to do so. But the fact that you can be coached by the same people who are coaching the top players in the world, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
think it's great.
I don't see that in other places. You can't go get like a driving lesson from, I don't know, who's a NASCAR instructor.
Bert Sampson? I'm making up names now.
Yeah, that was a good made up name though. That's believable.
10-time winner of the yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go get I'm not going to go to the batting cages and get a lesson from Willie Randolph. Right? So, but the fact that you can get lessons from these guys is
Willie
interesting.
Randolph. Going back,
Willie. So let's take a look before this thing totally goes off the wheels.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of these here. And you know what's funny? A name that we see coming up is somebody that we have had the incredible benefit of working with, which is Kevin Sprecker. Keith says, Kevin Sprecker, love his videos with you guys and others. Kevin, because you know what? Kevin, not only is he incredibly good instructor, and by good, I mean that he sees it very quickly. He's been around the game for so long. He's so adept at it. He sees what you need to work on, but he's just one of those guys who has a very clear and concise way of explaining it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes some guys, they have a real adeptness at being able to see what's wrong, but there's the communication style of being able to convey it in a way that a golfer who's not of their level can understand.
Yeah.
Us as amateur golfers need to be spoken to differently than another pro. When pro teaching pro, they've already got the foundation of understanding. Sometimes with us, we won't know all the things that go into what's going wrong and need it distilled down and simplified. And I think Kevin is one of the best in the game at that.
Definitely.
And he is somebody that is available to give lessons. You can go to kevinsprecker.com if you're anywhere near Westchester, New York. He's out of Sleepy Hollow, and he does give lessons through the winter.
He does.
He does. He's
got
a great indoor facility.
He's
there.
so smart with equipment, and it goes such a long way with your golf game because he's just able to find, every little bit that's wrong. And if you're hitting the ball right and your swing is okay, then maybe your equipment's off. Let's go there. Here's
a perfect example of that, all right, which still wows me to this day. You got fit for him for your irons, so did I. We recently went to the that Connecticut Golf Academy.
Yes.
And the highest level of technology there is available, the Gears system, which is where it looks like you're going into a video game. They put these dots all over you, and there's this 8-camera array that captures every single one of your motions. And you're also on a force plate, the swing cat, and you've got the foresight on the club, measuring the club is going through. So all told, it's about $150,000 worth of technology that you're on, right? And it's measuring everything, right? So they put you on it, and they said, whoever fits you for this head shaft combination did the right thing. There's no real other recommendations we can do here.
Exactly.
And that just proves it that Kevin knows what he's doing.
Bingo.
Yeah. And you'll see that video will be out really shortly as well. You can kind of go through that. But all right, let's look at some of our favorite answers here. Clay says Hank Haney, who I mentioned.
It's great.
And a big one that's going to come up here a lot is Claude Harmon.
Claude Harmon's coming up because it's DJ and Brooks.
Yes. And I mean, when you start to get to that level where you're teaching the best on tour, plus Claude is working with a lot of the guys who worked with Butch Harmon, another one.
Did Butch just pack it in?
I don't know if he'll ever fully pack it in.
He probably shows up to majors and hangs out with the guys.
Yeah, we're starting to see Butch really kind of wind down and not be doing as intense a lesson schedule. I think he still does work with guys like Ricky Fowler, here and there, but it's not as consistent a basis. But I've always liked the teaching of Harmon, and now you see him pass it down a lot of what he's doing with Claude. But Claude brings his own stuff to the table as well, which is why it's a good one.
George Gankus is someone, I see him up here a lot.
I was going to mention that. I almost wonder if Gankus would be my pick.
I just think with my swing speed, I think he might be the guy that I would want to work with.
Yeah.
Because the way he works with guys and how to get their hips through, even that Matthew Wolf, I'm doing it now, all that stuff.
Somebody here mentioned Pat says, I want some of that George Gankis speed.
There it is.
I also like Gankis because I like his like teaching style. He's like, he's
seems
fun.
cool,
He's
like a cool guy to hang
relatable.
out
You know
with.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's got that energy.
Why don't we get him on the show?
We should get him
All
on
right,
the
we got to
show.
bring him on the show.
We got to work. I would really like to do a video with him at some point and do like a lesson video with him.
I'd love to do the stuff that he does. He puts like those little pad boxes on people and like puts the alignment sticks like in them and stuff. Like
it's wild. I love that visual feedback.
For sure.
Stuff. Gary here says Twitter. He says Kevin Sprecker for sure fitted me last month and the experience was awesome. He could help me get my golf game where it should be for sure.
Yeah, sure. We met Gary at Z Strict to the meetup. Nice to meet you, Gary.
Oh, awesome.
Thanks for coming out.
And then Alec Cruz says Dustin Johnson, dude, has been putting us on low numbers over the years. And I wonder, there's one, like some of these guys, you always wonder if they will convert to doing some teaching. I always feel like they're just two separate skill sets, like performing and teaching.
I think so.
Why
are not the coaches on tour?
Right. I think there's a certain aspect, and I think a large part of it is being able to see and communicate. I think like some of the highest performing golfers know what they need to do. They'll get a little bit of feedback from a coach, but know what they need to do with their body. But when it comes to coaching, I think it's being able, the real skill comes in realizing that every swing is different. And instead of trying to, like, let's say you're Dustin Johnson, I'm trying to teach you my swing. I'm going to teach you the DJ swing. It's more so saying like, let me see what you got, and I'm going to work with that rather than trying to change it too much. And I think that's what the greatest teachers do. They pull the best out of that golfer without making them someone else. Mm-hmm. And I think when you see some of these guys who are tour pros, they've spent so many years, that's their path. Their path is becoming the best they can, and their career and their earnings are part of what they can do versus trying to make others better because it's a different skill set.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Someone said, who was it? Mario said Phil Mickelson is looking like a premier golf instructor. He can easily charge $500 an hour.
That I would agree with. If there's anybody on tour who I feel like can broadly help other golfers, it's Phil.
So let me throw this at you because I think this could be our next Twitter tap-in or down the road. Maybe poise it like this. Hypothetically, if Phil Mickelson opened up his coaching schedule book and that was wide open for you, at what
Phil needs $500.
Right. At what price point would you then turn away for an hour lesson with Phil? That's the question I want to put out there. I want to see people be like, well, you know what? $2,500 is a lot of money, but I would spend it to have an hour with Phil to go over short game and maybe off the tee.
Yeah. If for no other reason, even if you only get marginally better, talk about being able to talk at parties.
Experience.
No. How about this? When you do hit a good shot, when you're out there with the force, be like, yeah, Phil taught me that.
Exactly.
Right. Just to be able to say Phil taught me that,
what you're buying.
It's worth the weight in gold.
That's what you're buying.
But yeah, I mean, we're starting to see Phil like where he's doing these like instructional things on his like Instagram and stuff, and it's just you do learn from it.
Yeah.
You do learn from it. And because Phil has such an analytical way of breaking it down. I remember even just seeing on regular TV, we're seeing he was talking about how he hit the golf ball off the cart path a couple of years ago. And he breaks it down. It's like, oh, it's simple. I just put all these. I think if Phil's Achilles heel to teaching would be that it's so obvious to him that he sometimes will just talk and you make your own head spin because it's like advanced level. It's like Bryson DeChambeau teaching you physics. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, pump the brakes, dude. Exactly. I got to figure this out.
Yep.
That's a big one. I see a couple mentions of the Me and My Golf.
Me and My Golf.
Billy Foster says Me and My Golf. Definitely. I got it. And those guys too. They are such great instructors in that same way that we were saying with Kevin, is that they see the problem quickly. It becomes very obvious to them, but then they really take the time to explain it in a way that can make it obvious to you. Mm-hmm. And that's a big difference. And I've been watching their videos for as long as I can remember. I remember we started watching some of their videos when we were starting Golficity 8 years ago. Right. And they have a great way of explaining it to a broad audience then, but it's a different experience when you're one-on-one. And I remember YouTube Golf Day, I said I was nervous going into it. I was talking to Andy the night before at dinner, and I'm like, I'm nervous because I'm struggling with chipping. I've got no confidence. He goes, we'll get you sorted.
Get you sorted.
Right? He's
right
like,
away.
meet me in the lobby tomorrow morning and we'll get you sorted.
Mm.
And we went down there and he just very methodically kind of observed what I was doing. He recorded it a little bit on his phone so he could show me back to what I was doing. And he made a couple of adjustments and it was an instant translation.
It was cold. It was rainy, but he was there.
But he was there. And I
He's a good
still
dude.
used the tips that he showed me that day. And I was fortunate enough to video recording it so we can do the video.
Yep.
So I can go back to it. So
That's
I would
true.
say whoever you get your lesson from, I don't care what level it is, record it or try in some way to record it, or even ask the coach, is he comfortable with you just having a camera running? Because I think the greatest asset I've ever had for any of my lessons, whether it be Kevin Sprecker or anybody, is being able to, as time goes by and I need that refresher, being able to press the play button and rewatch it.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah,
great
it
to
really
have.
does help. And other ones that come in here, a lot of Butch Harmon and those types of guys. Who did we say is Spieth's coach?
Cameron McCormick.
McCormick, right.
Yep.
Yeah, he's another guy who's
He's another guy up
very
there.
good.
Sure.
A lot of premier names. We said Foley, so there's
Right.
a lot of great ones out there. But thank you everybody who weighed in. The funny responses are great, and again, a lot of common themes here. But hey, if nothing else, as golfers, it's just like those bucket list course, like playing Augusta. We can always dream. We can dream about
always
getting
dream,
a lesson
man.
from Phil and kind of think about what it would be like.
Right.
All right, Mike, let's do a word from our sponsors. Then I want to talk about putting grip tension.
I do. I want to do a word from the sponsor, but I want to ask you a quick question.
Yeah, hit me.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'm going to take a sip of coffee before this
I'm
one.
going to put you on a big spot here. I think
Uh-oh. We lost you? Where are you going?
I'm here. I just, my headphones fall out sometimes just because I kicked them out. So the question I want to ask you, I was thinking about this the other day. You and I have played a lot of golf this year, and you have went back and edited a ton of our footage.
Yeah.
So you've seen it again and again. You relived it.
I've been behind a computer more than I've been on a tee box this year.
Yeah, exactly. So I challenge you guys to do this with your golf buddy, your golf partner, whatever. If there's one area of my game that you could steal and put it into your own game, what would it be? And I'll go first to give you a chance to think about it. I was thinking about this the other day.
Steal out with this. Let's double it down.
Or
One thing you could steal and one thing you would fix.
ooh,
If you could wave a magic wand and fix it.
of your own game.
Oh, no, of the other person's game.
Oh, wow.
One thing you would steal from the other guy's game and one thing you would fix
I
from
love
the
it.
other guy's game.
I love it.
Go ahead. hit
So
me
my
with it.
steal is looking back on all this footage, I was editing Ramsey last night. I'm just watching. It's just like your tempo.
Yeah.
Tempo is something like I'm swinging so fast, and then in the next clip, I see you take a swing, and it looks like it's 20 miles per hour slower, even though it's not.
Right.
Just your tempo is so much smoother. And I said, if I could just steal that part and put it into my game, that's what I would steal from Frank.
There you go. All right. So what I would steal from you is how ridiculously deadly you are from 50 yards out.
Oh, yeah. I lost.
My God. I mean, the thing is, even like when we are playing like these kind of like just fun, loose competitions, I could put a ball in the fairway. You could be out in the woods, with your drive.
Right.
And then I could put my second shot and I'm 2 shots and I'm like just off of the green. You've now had to punch out, right?
Mhm.
And now you're 50 yards out with your third shot. And I know this hole is far from over
Yeah.
because on that shot, inevitably, you're going to put it 3 to 5 feet
Yeah.
from the hole
Yeah.
and you're going to put it in for par. And I'm going to be like, now I got to chip this close and putt it for par.
Exactly.
And I've seen that so many times, time and time again, that I would steal that.
There you go.
And then what I would
There you
change if I changed anything, and that's what I try to do as I not being a golf coach and not trying to inflict my whatever while we're out there, is every once in a while you hear me say just kind of slow it down. Because that is
There
the
you go.
thing. Sometimes you will go out there and have this great tempo and you'll hit a
First hole, mainly.
yeah, and it'll just be perfect drive and stuff like that. And when I notice that your tempo gets off, it's actually as a reaction to good. As you start to like smash the ball and you put a couple good drives together, the confidence goes up to where then you just try to like rip the cover off of it.
Yeah.
And when you try
Yeah.
to rip the cover off of it, think something goes wrong. So then the way that it gets fixed is by you slowing it back down.
Love it.
So whatever breaks you could put in there mentally, maybe it's in your pre-shot routine where you just trust that ball is going to go far enough with your regular swing and you don't need to do the
I like it.
chiropractor
Taking notes here.
special.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's when I notice is it's like I feel like as you play better, the chances of you making a mistake seem to go up.
Right.
Because confidence is a great
Right.
thing to have out there.
Big time.
But it's just like, you're like, well, if I could hit it 300, then why can't I hit
why
it
can't I
310?
go 310?
Right.
go.
Why can't I hit a 320? And
Right.
I mean, that's a good
And
thing.
everything goes out the window.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But on the same
that's good
token,
advice.
Right. That's where, because we learned this when we were down at Baltusrol. That was that great lesson, was as you start to swing harder, that's what causes you to come over the top.
Yeah. Things change in my brain as all of us do as the game goes on throughout the round. I would love to bring like a psychologist, someone out there with me. This could be a cool experiment.
Yeah.
To keep me calm throughout somehow, so I can maintain that same calmness that I always have on the first tee.
Yeah. See, what's so interesting to me is that the calmness, often with golfers, calmness goes out the window when they start playing bad. They freak out.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but it's not that way with you. Your calmness is like when you get too amped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're playing too well, you tend to then start to
then it starts to
overswing
peel
it.
off. Yep.
But it doesn't work that way with your short game. When you're confident in your short game, you're confident in your short
That's
game.
it.
So that's what I would wonder.
That's
It's
right.
like what it is. It's something with distance and ripping the cover off the ball.
I think so. Oh.
It's interesting.
Well, with you, what I would do is easily just change your personality. I can't stand it.
Whole thing. Can't be out there with it.
No, for me, I think I would want to put like some type of massive bungee rubber band on your hips and wake your hips up around the 10th hole because they fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that's when you tend to leave things open. And I wish I could just like rip your hips through
That's
the
what we
swing.
need. A big turning device. So you
You
can
know,
start to turn.
so if I
or
can
we'll
get
just
you to
play
fix
9 holes forever.
That's it. That's it. Easy enough. See how we solve the problems here?
It is. It's so
Good
true.
stuff.
Like I've been struggling with that. Like towards the late in the round, I don't know if it's something that I need to address from a standpoint of like health and physio. Like if there's something I need to do with like whatever. But I start to the hips and stuff, and I have that back problems. But whatever, the hips and stuff get tired. It seems.
Yeah.
And I stop rotating.
Well, I'm sure if you ever went out and played a round without filming it, you would make it through 18. No problem.
Makes it easier.
No problem.
It does make it easier. But
Those
that's why,
camera
you know what?
equipment makes you
I like
fatigue.
walking because when we can walk rather than riding a cart, I find that just the walking motion keeps me limber.
Yeah. Keeps you loose.
The body, we've heard it said here before on the podcast, the body's meant to move. I think Scott Stalling said it just a couple weeks ago. He said the body's meant to move.
Yep.
You know, when you don't move, that's what happens.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that at you.
I like that one. That's a fun segment.
You know, every now and
Revisit
then.
that. Yeah.
All right, so let's do a quick word. Big thanks to ShotScope. This is brought to you by ShotScope, all-in-one GPS and stat tracking watch. Guys, big thanks to ShotScope, by the way, for sponsoring the show all year. Looking forward to doing a lot more with those guys next year. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing some fun stuff and hopefully getting back to Scotland, if not in 2021, but 2022 for the Open.
Yeah.
And some more great
So that's another goal
Scottish
of
golf.
ours.
Yeah, that's another goal. That'd be cool. I wanted to bring my wife and to get the kids over there, too, because it's just like a really cool golf community.
Right.
You know, it's great.
And they can see where Scotland came from.
See where Scotland, the little doll that I bought her,
Little
that she
doll.
sleeps with every night.
Yeah.
I could take her back. So great. I could talk about Scotland forever, but
Go ahead.
I digress. So what's so great about the watch, guys? It's an Apple Watch size laser-like GPS watch. You don't even know it's on your wrist. You know, you could throw that whole thing out the window about wearing a watch. You don't even notice it. It's small. It's sleek. They improved the design. There's cool colors. The band is more durable. The accuracy it's way more precise. They're constantly doing firmware updates to make sure that the product is the best. There is no subscription fees. The watch with stat tracking is $219. You pay that one time and that's it. And the G3, which is the watch without stat tracking, it's just laser-like GPS, $179.99. So guys, check it out. Shotscope.com/Golficity. Get in the game. Get yourself one. Lastly, want to thank FootJoy. Guys, the #1 outerwear brand in golf, committed to helping you extend the golf season as long as possible by making every day playable. The new Hydro Series line of rain jackets includes several options that provide the ultimate protection wherever you're teeing it up this fall and winter. I want to see some winter rounds out there, guys.
You know, we're gonna be doing it.
We're going to be doing it. So whether it's the Hydro Light, the perfect lightweight summer rain jacket for golf in, say, Florida or Arizona, or the Hydro Knit, which I don't think we've tested yet or checked out that one yet, but that protects like a rain jacket, but feels like a mid layer for places like California or the Carolinas. FootJoy has the rain jacket protection to keep you dry wherever you are. Yeah. What else? They got the new FootJoy Performance lineup this year with the all-new Hydro Tour, which we love, designed to withstand the most extreme weather conditions. So play golf, more golf this year, and get the gear you need to play in any condition. Visit footjoy.com/MEDP for make every day playable.
Yeah. And that's another great, we talked about gift ideas before. That's another great one. I know sizing and stuff that comes in, but you can go on FootJoy's website and you can get a gift card.
Yeah.
That's another great gift to give.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. All right, let's talk about putting grip tension. And we're going to talk about it as its own kind of thing, in so much as that how tight or loose you hold the golf club is a common topic among golfers. But it's talked about through the bag a lot but not necessarily down to the putter. We don't talk about our putting grip tension. In fact, it never even really came into my mind. I thought about other things, like keeping most of the body still and the pendulum motion and all those things I thought about, but I just wasn't thinking about putting grip tension until, funny enough, we were talking about Kevin Sprecker earlier. It was 2 years ago when we did a playing lesson with Kevin, and he's just watching me putt, and he asked me, Frank, how tight are you holding that putter? And I was like, at first I thought, oh, it's a trick question. He's trying to stump me. Maybe he's seen that I've been gripping it too tight, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, I try to hold it pretty loose, and he goes, no, you're holding it too loose. And I was like, interesting. Yeah. Because I'm always thinking like the idea of being like holding it, gripping the club as loosely as possible, like you're holding a bird in your hand type of thing.
Yep.
But there is, like anything, there's going to be a point of going too far. And that's what I was doing. And it was seriously messing with my pace control because I was just gripping it too loose in this kind of half-minded, approach to saying like I've got to grip it loose, but not really having a structure to that.
Right.
So what we're going to talk about here is how to give some structure to and find the right tension, and then how to realize when you're deviating from that tension, because things change out on the golf course, whether it be the scenario, i.e. pressure, or the weather. It could be cold. We talk about cold weather and starting to have a little trouble feeling your hands. It could be wet. There's a lot of different things that can go in that can cause you to change that putting grip. This is another topic though that I like because it's something that you can work on at home. A lot of you I know listening are like us. You're not playing golf for a living, so you don't have hours to dedicate to it out on the practice putting green and things like that. But the good thing is you can have your putter in your house, work on it on the carpet, and just be working on, that tension. You can get yourself a little mat. I love the putt out mat because it's really small. It's just the right amount of mat that you need, but it also rolls very true. But there's a lot of good ones. We're fortunate enough to have a really big putting surface here in the office that we can work with, but it does matter. And it's something that you can work on. So the question is like, why does putting grip pressure matter so much? And the idea is when you hold that putter grip lightly, and again, the most common problem is going to be that you're holding it too tight.
Right.
Not that you're necessarily holding it too loose like I was, but I want you to be aware of it because there are people out there who could be struggling from the same thing I was and be holding that putter too loose. And we'll talk about in a second how to differentiate and find if you are. But one big, I'd say like the 70, 80% of the spectrum of the issue is holding it too tight. And what happens when you do that is that by holding it too tight, you're really just limiting your ability to have good distance control. That's when you start to see people like kind of like looking like it's like a smacking motion, like stabbing at it, smacking at it. You're just not that it's not quite like in other clubs there where they need to release and turn over through the ball, but the club face still does, even with a putter, it does still open up a bit and close a little bit. And unless your grip is loose enough to allow that free flowing motion, you're going to have problems with like rigidity and possibly that club face not being square as it needs to be. So you really want to make sure that you've got it loose enough. So Mike, how much attention do you give? Because I consider you a good putter.
Yep.
In fact, talk about video editing. I was editing together that video at the Connecticut Golf School with some of the trickiest little greens out there.
Oh yeah, I was on that.
You were on.
Yeah, I don't know what was it.
Drilling
it was rainy,
putts.
uphill putts. But yeah, no, I mean, I put a lot of work into the putting as far as feel. It's the same feel with my putter it is with that 60 degree that's so money.
Yeah.
I just
a lot of confidence.
Hold it like I'm holding that baby bird, and I just work on that putting stroke. And then the further I get back, the further I back up from the hole, going mid irons to driver, is when I grip too tight. Yeah. So I have no issue on the green.
On the green. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anything, the tension is when
when I'm caveman-ing it back there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. So here's the thing. You got to have a way to apply a little bit of a baseline to this. And a good way to do it is to work with the extremes, right? So I kind of like this idea in anything when you're learning golf. It's actually, it's a really cool thing we learned from Zach Radford. who, if you guys aren't already checking out his YouTube channel or his Instagram, Zach, he's an incredible golfer who puts on a show with the shots that he can hit. And I asked him, I said, Zach, like, how did you learn to shape the ball the way you did? Because, I mean, not only is it come in handy being able to shape the ball, but he can like circus tricks shape it.
Circus tricks.
It's what he can do is crazy. And I'm like, well, how did you learn that? And I thought maybe it was like, learning and applying specific techniques, but it wasn't. What he did was, he said when he was a young golfer, he went to the range and just thought, like, what can I try to do? He would try to test himself without putting too much thought into it. Be like, can I bend it like around this tree, or can I bend it this way?
Right.
And he would just try to hit these shots you would probably rarely, if ever, have to hit on the golf course. But just by knowing his limits and taking it to the extremes, he was able to find the center from that. So that's something you can do in other areas of the game too. And this is a great kind of way you can do that with putting. So simply go out to the putting surface, pick about a 10-foot putt somewhere, relatively flat. You don't want to have too much in this because you're working on your grip. You're not working on your read or anything like that. Just pick a nice flat 10-foot putt and start with your normal grip pressure and hit 1 or 2 putts from a set location. So drop a tee in the ground 10 feet out and do that. The next putt, start to relax your grip pressure just a little bit, and then hit the ball, and then repeat that. So keep relaxing, loosening that putter grip, and continue that process until your grip is so light that you really can't maintain control. Again, we're looking for those extremes, like where is the breaking point? And at that point, you'll realize you've gone too far. But there's going to be a lot of points in between where you started and where you end up. And you can start to realize how much looser you can hold that club and still not only maintain control, but possibly even have a little bit better control. Because what we're doing is, if you're too tense, we're trying to back you off of that.
Right.
But by showing you the limitation, like take it all the way to its extreme where like that club is barely in your hands. And then you start to realize what it feels like. You got to give the mind, you got to let the body talk to the mind and show it, hey, this is too far.
Yeah.
And then you'll know that's the limitation. Like, don't go that far, but I have this range that I can work in. And the really the point of that process is just to teach yourself what it feels like to have a light grip pressure by forcing your way into a light grip pressure during that stroke. And then somewhere along that spectrum, you're going to find where that grip pressure really works best for your stroke, where you feel like you're most confident, where you're most accurate, where the club is working the way it needs to work. And you will find it by going to those limits.
Yeah, and I guess you could just test it by holding it differently, trying a bunch of shots.
But
like anything else with this, you just got to be consistent.
You got it. Once you find that spot. But this is that finding experimental process. And you can go the other direction too. Start gripping it too tight to feel like, what does it feel like when I'm too tight? Like do an extreme. And then what happens to your entire swing? I can just tell as I just start to grip my hands. I'm not even holding a club. As I go tighter and tighter, I can start to feel it in my shoulders and getting even into my neck. And now all that stuff is not moving.
That can lead to a pull, for example.
Right,
maybe.
exactly. You have to be able to free flow up in here and move those shoulders nice and fluidly through it.
Yep.
And as you grip really tight, the fluidness goes away.
That's it.
So you can kind of find those extremes. But once you find that's kind of like the first step in the process. After that, it really comes down to consistent practice. Get to that point and then practice with that putting grip tension regularly enough that it becomes the new norm for you. And to the point where you're comfortable enough in it that you are aware of when you get away from it. And the reason I say that is because what'll happen inevitably is there are outside factors that will cause you to change your approach. And one of those biggest things is pressure. It is so subconscious what pressure and stress does to the body that a lot of us don't even realize we're doing it. I mean, if we're really stressed, sometimes we don't realize we're walking around with our shoulders just up a little bit, right? And then 12 hours later, we're like, why does my back hurt? It's like because you've been like this all day, right? Or your teeth are like mildly clenched or something like that. The same thing happens out there in golf. And as you're playing, and maybe it might be your club championship, it might just be you're playing for a little bit of money. Like, what was it? Lee Trevino says, like, pressure is playing for $5 a hole with $3 in your pocket.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So, I mean, some way or another, all golfers have experienced that, or it could just be setting your own personal best kind of low round or whatever it may be. as you approach those things, the pressure is going to come on. And so that's where being aware in your mind that, hey, this is a pressure scenario. I better check in with my body. Chances are if you check in and you've done that little experiment where you know what different putter grip tensions feel like, you can reference back and be like, hey, I noticed I am holding that club a little tight.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
It really is.
And that's what'll do it. But loose is another thing too. Like if you go back to that example I used, I was starting to have a lot of pace issues where sometimes I'd leave it way short, sometimes long. And a lot of that was because I was holding the club just too loosely, where now there was starting to be a wrist motion, which is something you don't want in putting. You want that putting stroke to be controlled by the pendulum motion of the shoulders. And where Kevin noticed it for me was that I was varying it with a little bit of wrist action too. So now when you have shoulders moving and wrists moving, unless they're matched perfectly, that's that inconsistency that comes into play.
Yeah.
So by firming up my grip just a bit, it kind of helped lock my wrists in. He even taught me a technique of kind of like a little bit of a forward press to help lock my wrists in and just control with my shoulder. So it's just one variable that I'm controlling for speed.
Interesting. Yeah.
But that's one thing. If you have too loose of a grip, look for that. Are your wrists starting to bend a little bit too much?
Okay. I'm processing this in my head. Now you're going to make me thinking about my wrists because I never even thought about the wrist moving. Hinging a little bit. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but think about it. If you're putting with both your, if what's applying the force to the ball is both a wrist movement and a shoulder movement, there are extra variables there.
So take one out.
You're really relying on both the timing and the pressure of both. Whereas if you take out those wrists and those are just rigid, that's what I do with the forward press, and you're just moving your shoulders, you can kind of get a better solid foundation to do your pace control.
Love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, make sure you put the time in, no matter what, no matter how much practice time you put in. No, it's going to happen. You're a human being. That pressure is going to change. It's going to change largely in those pressure type of situations. So a good thing to do is make sure, we've talked about pre-shot routine on your putting as well. And a part of that pre-shot routine can be to take a deep breath, take a mental kind of checklist of like just recognizing that it's a little bit more pressure and realizing what that might do to the body. Take a deep breath. That'll naturally loosen up some of the muscles, and then just check in on your grip pressure and see if you can get it to where you've got it in your practice sessions. That can be an important one. But enact that pre-shot routine. A good pre-shot routine will keep that grip pressure in check. It'll help you get back to where you want to be. And again, no matter what, a smart pre-shot routine is so important.
Oh yeah.
It's so important. But remember, it's the simple things that kind of matter the most. And it's just grip pressure. It's just another example of how those simple kind of basic fundamentals in golf can take you a long way. We all want to learn like the latest, like kind of like idea of way to do things with your swing, but really it comes back to the firmer of a grasp and the understanding you have on the fundamentals, the better of a golfer you'll be. And putting grip tension is one of them. So if nothing else, if this episode helps bring your awareness to your own putting grip tension and helps you re-explore it, and then have it be a part of a consistent part of your routine rather than just a variable that you're not aware of, so it's outside of your control, you'll become a better putter for it.
Yeah, and I imagine you can practice this indoors on a carpet.
100%.
And you could just pick a target, and if the target, if you pick different putting grips, the firm, loose, in between, and whatever's best for that target, whatever the performance ends up being, then that's the way to go. One of the things I want to work on this off season is putting. In here, this thing is great. We've got great roll here, and we should put this more to play because we never ever. I mean, do you practice putting?
I practice. In the off season, I practice a lot with my putt out.
Okay, so you do a little bit of putt out at home, but I don't do any putting in the winter. It's like 4 months, 5 months, it's just on the shelf. Yeah. And I have to rely on that feel just coming right back in April.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But luckily for you, it often does come. But putting is one of the areas where you're strong. But no matter how strong of a putter you are, you can always be better.
100%.
Look at Tiger Woods, how much time he puts into practicing putting.
And notice when he stinks and doesn't make a cut, it's why?
Putting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where, again, I think that just being aware of it, understanding, and then going back to what you're saying, yes, you don't need to necessarily do this out on a professional putting surface. Just by doing that same drill that we talked about, You can do it on your carpet. You're not going to get as true of a roll, but by doing that, you're still going to realize at which point the grip is too loose or too tight that you can't put a good stroke on the ball. And then you can find that middle ground. And once you get there, make that your home base. Make it part of your practice routine that you practice with that grip tension, and then make it part of your pre-shot routine that every once in a while, especially in pressure situations, you check in on your putting grip tension and bring yourself back to that home base.
Makes sense.
And if you can do that, I'm not going to say you're going to hole every putt,
right,
but you're going to be a better putter for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So that's everything we have for you guys this week. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 354. And like I said, thanks as always for listening. If you guys haven't already done so, if you take a second to leave a review wherever you listen to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast, if you could drop us a quick review, it would be a nice little end of the year gift to us because it really does help. It helps us to bring the show to new audiences by growing the awareness of the show, but it also, the feedback helps us understand more of what we can do with the show for you guys to give you more of what helps. So drop that feedback, let us know. And like I said, get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 354, or as always in the Golficity app. And we'll see everybody again next week.